Guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that you requested because I mentioned it and people were like, okay Emily, we feel bad for you, so yeah, we'll watch that video now. In my last piercing video, I talked about potentially doing this video where I kind of do piercing basics or piercings 101, where I give you guys like my basic tips on before, after, and during your piercing. So that's kind of how I'm gonna like categorize and organize my thoughts, because if I don't do that, I will be all over the place and this video will make no sense and you'll probably be like, what? I'm going to start with before you get your piercing and the things that I would recommend you doing. Obviously, these aren't like all mandatory. I mean, you do what you want to do, but this is sort of what I would recommend to have the best experience possible. I did write it down. I organized myself because you know what? A little all over the place sometimes. Some of my tips for before you get a piercing, I really recommend you do your research. Whether that's just be like researching a place to go get it that has good reviews, or I think for myself, because especially when I first started getting piercings, I would be nervous about the pain. So I would watch YouTube videos or read, you know, things on Google or whatever and see what people said about the pain level of their piercings. And also placement, so where is a good place to have a piercing, because a lot of the time when you get certain piercings, they'll say like, do you want it higher, lower kind of thing, and you get to choose to some extent. So that's sort of some of the things that I would do. I think the most important one in that sort of grouping that I just talked about is like where you go, because you can go to some place and it be like the crappiest looking thing on the outside, but they have like amazing people and it's really clean and it's really awesome. But you have to know where is a good place to go. So I really recommend just Googling piercing places near your house and seeing the reviews and stuff, or talking to people you know who have piercings, see where they got theirs done. And just so you know where people have had good experiences, because you don't want to have like a really gross experience. So moving on to the during section. During is very important that you're very aware of what's going around you. I feel like a lot of the time, I mean, especially when you're young, sometimes you'll just sit back and because someone is a professional at what they do, or professional at what they do, you let them do whatever they want. But I think it's really important, especially in a situation like a piercing or a tattoo, that you're very like verbal about what you want and what you don't want. First of all, placement again. So if your piercer is like, oh, do you want it here? And you're really like, no, I don't want that there, but you're too scared to say something. Come on, girl. It's your money. Do what you want to do. Tell them what you want. If you don't like the placement, change it. It doesn't offend them. And this goes back to like having researched and done a little bit of like looking up of what's normal or whatever. If they start putting it in an area where you're like, that seems really strange or not exactly what I wanted, speak up and say something and hopefully clarify and make the situation better. The cleanliness of the actual store that you're in, I feel like if you go into a place and it just seems so dirty, don't even risk it, because there are diseases you can get through obviously dirty piercing materials that someone's using. Where I go to get my piercings, there's everything that he uses, he gets me to sign to make sure that everything I see is clean. So he literally opens all of the like material he uses right in front of me, so I'm watching him, you know, open the needle stuff, open the jewelry, open everything, so I'm watching it. That way there's no questions about it. And in Canada you have to have it signed so that, you know, if there is anything that happens, you can't blame the piercer. The other big controversy, which I don't think it's that big of a deal, but a lot of people argue between needles and guns. So you can get a piercing with a needle and you can get a piercing with a gun. There are some like terrifying stories, and some of my friends have had weird experiences with getting their nose pierces with a gun, getting their upper cartilage pierced with a gun, and that terrifies me. If you are getting any piercings other than the first two low piercings done with a gun, that is not right. It's very dangerous for your cartilage, and it's very just dangerous for you. Like, the care will be harder, aftercare will be harder, everything. It just is not a good idea. And I know a needle can be really, really scary for some people. A lot of people don't like needles, which is totally understandable. I mean, not like anyone gets super excited when they see a needle, but it's just, if you think about the difference between a gun and a needle, it's just crazy to me that people would even think that it's okay idea to get like their nose pierced with a gun. Also, how awkward is that? I don't know. So all my piercings, other than my first two low piercings, have been done with a needle. and they are not scary at all. These people are trained in what they are doing, so they know what they're doing, and it won't hurt more or less than a gun. I actually think that getting your cartilage pierced or like your nose pierced with a gun would be like so much more painful because it's awkward, and also there's a lot of pressure from a gun. I even remember like getting my lobes pierced with a gun, and I hated it. I thought it was horrible. So just so you know, be very aware. And then again, that goes back to doing your research and knowing what to expect depending on what piercing you're getting. Drink your tea, girl. Drink your tea. Oh, that's yummy. Oh, the other thing is pricing. I really think it's important to tip your piercers, which I mentioned before again in my last video. This is their job, and I think it's really important to tip them, and I don't think like $100 is a little bit much, but like $20 is too cheap. Do you know what I mean? So somewhere in there, you're good. So the most important part of getting a piercing is the aftercare, because if you don't do your part, your piercing is gonna go to shit, basically. I've had some of my piercings reject. My upper cartilage rejected for sure, and I actually kept it in even though I probably should have taken it out. But I did have like a little cystic bump on it for a while. And then also when I was younger, both my holes rejected, and I had to get them re-pierced because I was so allergic to the regular metal that they use. I had to use like a special hypoallergenic metal. But usually people are fine, especially with the piercing jewelry that they use. Usually it's hypoallergenic and you won't have a problem with it, but if it does start to reject, I do recommend taking your piercing out. Just not worth it to deal with it, and it's super painful. So how I clean my piercing, I am very, very, very particular about this because I think it's really important to take care of your piercings. If you want to have it last and look good, then you want to take care of it. So they always recommend, at least wherever I've gone to my piercings, they always recommend me to clean it with saltwater solution. And they recommend these like big spray cans that are like $20, and I'm not lying to you, at a drugstore. And I refuse. I absolutely refuse to spend $20 on literally water with salt in it. So either I'll make my own, which is totally fine, you can totally do that, or trick that I've come up with, I actually use like a nasal mist. This is like under $5 at the drugstore, and this will last me through the whole cleaning process of one piercing. I put this on there, and then I clean the front and the back of the piercing. Make sure you do both. And oftentimes, I hope you guys aren't grossed out by stuff like this, but I'm very open. There's like a lot of gunkies that'll come off, and you need to be really careful about cleaning it because I have had times when I haven't cleaned it, say for a day or something, and my piercing will start to really, really hurt. And when I go to clean it, something really massive will come off, and I'll just be like, that's disgusting. That'll be why I had all that pain before. So I do recommend taking care of it, cleaning it regularly. I say 3 times a day if you can. That's really important, but also showering is really important too. Rinse it off really well in the shower. Just like hold your ear directly up to the water and let it just like hit the piercing and let it just take all the gunk off of it. Okay, so now for, other than just cleaning it, there are a few things that I really recommend that you guys be careful with. Do not sleep on your piercing. I mentioned this in my last video, my piercing video that I talked about it, but like, do not sleep on your piercings. I'm a side sleeper, so when I have a new piercing, it's really hard for me to get comfortable a lot of the times because I am used to sleeping on my side. But just like, don't sleep on it. It is not worth it. It is so painful dealing with that. That's how you get the little cystic bumps on your piercings. I slept on the first like piercing I got other than my lobes was an upper cartilage piercing, and it got so infected. It was like so painful. I had like a little cyst around it and it was disgusting, but I haven't had that happen to me ever again because I've always been super careful about that. And the other thing is, do not twist or touch your jewelry. If you can help it, like the less you touch it, the better your piercing will be, the faster it will heal. I know that sometimes when you get your piercings on your lobes done, they tell you like twist it every night or whatever. I don't really know what that's about because when you ever get like another piercing done, they'll tell you like don't touch it. Don't touch it at all, don't twist it, don't move it. The less you touch it, bump it, whatever, the faster it'll heal and the less pain it will give you. That's basically the basics of that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down below if you guys have any other questions. I feel like I was really robotic in this video because I had points, and I never make points when I'm making a video. Usually I just like verbal diarrhea, which I kind of enjoy, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got something out of it, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!